Yo, what's up, everybody? You are watching The Lit Individual Show. I'm your boy, Tony Benton Jr., and we are so glad that you're here. A special shout out to Train to Catch Planes for hosting us always, and as well as Bet on Benefits, our sponsor, and we want to give them a special shout out. If you ever need to be able to get those benefits together as a veteran, Social Security, or anything like that, make sure you hit up my cousin Jermaine over at Bet on Benefits. Now, I gotta be able to bring in my sister right now. Y'all know we don't call this Lit Individual Show for nothing. We got Miss Qri in the building. Y'all might also know her as Questions with Qri because you got the questions, she got the answers.
You know.
Qri, how you doing?
I'm doing good, TVJ.
Oh, you do call me that. You've always called me TVJ.
I always have because... And this is sidetrack. When I don't know if you remember, but when we first met, I think we were in the freshman GSU 1010 class, and you introduced yourself, and you're like, I'm Tony Benton Jr. And I was like, oh man, he is not playing. His name is Tony Benton Jr. And you never let anybody forget it. So ever since then, I'm like, oh, that's TBJ right there. TBJ don't play.
I love being able to hear stories like that. Yes, we did. We met in college. We met like the beginning, the very first like almost day of college, and beginning to navigate what that looked like as young journalists, as young individuals in Atlanta going to school and navigating what all was Georgia State and what all is, right? Because it's changed so much.
It's terrible.
It's changed so much. It's evolved so much for a different generation. But it's definitely, when we go there, it's not like when we were in school.
Yeah,
it's not like when we were in school. But I want to back up a little bit to Questions with Qri, because that's how so many of us had a chance to really meet you. You know, a platform that you started in college. Talk to me about Questions with Qri. Why was this the platform and the brand that you decided to pick up and run with?
To be honest, it was sophomore year. I was in Commons. I don't know if you remember the Commons. You remember the Commons? Yes. I'm in the Commons. I'm in the study room. And I am just thinking about, at the time, I want to say I had either just started my internship at the radio station or they had just renewed it.
Okay.
And so I was at that point where I'm trying to figure out, okay, which direction am I going to go in? Am I going to go the traditional like drama route that women usually do, or am I gonna go another route? And I'm not like you. I'm not like a newsy person. I don't.
You were non-traditional news in journalism, but you were interested in journalism.
And so it was just like, I don't know which way to go, but I know drama is not my way. But I feel like that's the box that unfortunately I would be subjected to. So I'm like, I got to figure this out. So I started doing research on how to like have a timeless brand, like how to just stay timeless, because I'm like, I just don't want to get stuck in that. And
this was pre-ChatGPT, so you was figuring it out on your own.
I was doing Qri-ChatGPT. I was Qri-PT, okay, in the study room trying to figure out what I was going to do. Yeah. And one of the things it said is to figure out how, or one of the ways you can always stay relevant is to figure out what everybody needs. Figure out what some people need. God, some people want that. That's not like a necessity. So I'm still just like, okay, I got to figure it out. Yeah. And like the next few days, it came to me and I started thinking about what I needed as a college student. I'm like, what are some things that I need? And I'm like, I really need some advice right now because I am tripping. And I was like, oh my gosh, everybody needs advice. It'll never expire, just because what you go through today, I may go through 10 years from now, or what I go through right now, you may go through tomorrow. And it's a matter of, okay, everybody needs this. It never expires. It's timeless content. This is the lane I think that I'm gonna go down.
Everyone has questions.
Everyone has questions. Even if like you don't know how to effectively communicate them or articulate them or contextualize them, you still have them. It's just a matter of feeling comfortable with the right person to express yourselves. And I feel like with my bubbly personality, with my lack of regard for censorship at the time, it was a matter of, she gonna give it to you, okay? She gonna give it to you and you're gonna have a good time, you're gonna laugh, but you're still going to take something from it. And so once I was able to, do it a few times and people responded to it. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're trusting this 18-year-old with all that. Okay, we let's go with it.
And then it just continued to blossom from there. I love how you really tapped into the idea of what is a timeless brand.
Yeah.
Right? You know, what are those things? Because a lot of the times when we watch shows or, you know, talk shows or things like that, things that we wanted to do, that was just a segment, right? Ask so-and-so. But you really adopted it and made it your brand to where it's like, I'm an expert in giving you information. I'm someone who you can trust to be able to ask questions. I'm someone who you can trust to be able to, like your homegirl, you know, your homegirl who's in before there was a shade room or anything like that.
Right.
This is your homegirl who you can chat with and be able to really get questions asked. And I'm so grateful you had me on your platform at the time.
Yes.
Questions
I
with
want to say
Qri.
you're one of the first people, actually.
Wow, see, and that's back then, and I loved being able to hear that. And then, you know, you continue to grow. I do want to talk a little bit about your just journey in media, right? You know, you've had a journey in media, because that was one of the reasons also we met, because we both had a passion for journalism and media. You did radio. I want to talk a little bit about your radio experience. You don't have to share exactly where you were, but in regards to what your radio experience was, because I remember, you know, listening to you and seeing you post the behind the scenes, and you were just so exciting. But I know that you also had some challenges in navigating the sphere of radio, the sphere of entertainment, being a Black woman working in a specific male-dominated industry. Talk to me about your radio experience, highs, and what you can feel like sharing about with those lows.
Highs, I feel like every day was a high, just because for me, it was a matter of, I said I was going to do something and I did it. And so every day was a high, even though obviously there were lows, but for me, the lows did not supersede the highs. And so in retrospect, when I reflect, I'm like, the lows don't even compare to the highs, because I set a goal for myself and I was so intentional. I was so relentless. I was like, this is going to happen. Like, it does not have a choice. And I feel like for the first time in my life, at that particular age, I was truly able to like have so much weight behind my words. I feel like we learn later in life that our words have power, but I feel like I learned early in life that, oh, my words have so much power. And if I say that this is what it is, then because of the power that's invested in me, it has no choice but to happen. And so just to be able to live in the power of what I said was like, oh my gosh, this is like amazing. So every day was a high. Every day walking from class to work, like getting paid little to nothing. Everything truly was a high, because I was able to experience the life that I spoke life into. To be in the room, to be in that position at that. Yeah, I'm like, it's an experience everybody don't need to have. But I feel like if you are blessed enough to have an experience of that magnitude at that particular age, it'll truly changes your life for the better. Yeah. Now, I will say, regarding some of the apparent lows, it did kind of keep me low for some time. And I felt like I had to refine my voice, because it was like a, what's it called? Is it an oxymoron?
Possibly.
It was an oxymoron, because it's like, how do I have this mic, this platform on this particular huge platform, but I feel like I don't have a voice? Like, that was like crazy to me. I
have a mic, but who's listening?
It was insane to me how you could have one thing but not have it. And I could not for the life of me wrap my mind around it. And I remember very vividly, and it hurt my feelings when she said it. But looking back, she was absolutely right. I was in the studio and I said something. I don't know. I was a kid. I said something. It was not crazy.
Was it on air?
No.
Okay.
We were off air.
Okay.
But we were just having a conversation, and I said something with such like conviction, such like confidence. And she looked at me, she says, "Oh, you're so naive." And I looked at her and I was like, "No, I'm not."
You said this was uncensored Qri, right? This was back with very, very uncensored.
I was looking at her like, I'm not naive. But then thinking back, I'm like, oh God, I was so naive.
So she was right.
But she was right. She was absolutely right. And it just taught me like things are truly never what they seem. And it is on you to make the best of the experience, because that's what we're here for. Mm-hmm. We are here as spirits in efforts to experience. And when we do not, understand the validity of the experience, it kind of passes us by. And then we get lost in the sauce, and then those lows supersede the highs, and then it turns into a roller coaster that you weren't meant to honestly be on. But yeah, all in all, I feel like my highs were great. I learned a lot about myself, if nothing else. I learned a lot just regarding building my spiritual relationship. And that was honestly one of the reasons why I felt like my lows were so low, because here I am moving in the spirit, but going to that, forget the word I said earlier, but going to that like opposite
oxymoron kind of space.
Going to that oxymoron. I'm moving in the spirit, yet I don't feel like I am connected to spirit, or I feel like I'm lacking spirit. And it was just like, oh, this ain't working.
Yeah. And
this is not working.
And I definitely have been there, so I know exactly what you're referring to. And being able to feel like, like I'm in the room, but I feel like no one sees me, or I feel like I'm saying all the right things, but is it the right things, or can someone hear? And I think you made a certain point. I want to kind of back up a little bit in the conversation with whoever it was that told you that you were so naive. Again, I'm sure it's a lot more context behind it, but what I'm curious about is when you realize that she was right. Because a lot of the times we'll hear something, right? Or so will somebody say, like maybe that, like they'll try to really put us on game, or they'll really try to give us advice, but we don't want to hear it at that specific time. But then later on down the line, it will click. So I'm not necessarily asking what was it that she was saying you were naive about, but what was it that made it click in your mind to say years later, or however long it was later, maybe she was right. And maybe I was being naive, and what could I have done differently?
I don't think there's anything I could have done differently.
Okay.
I think just at a certain age, you're just naive. At that age, you're just naive because the veil has not been lifted. Like, I feel like that's a gift to be naive, because you don't know. Right. You don't know what you don't know. And so you're truly moving in spirit. Spirit is guiding you, because you don't know nothing. Okay, you know absolutely nothing. And
we be thinking we know.
And so that's why I was just like, there's nothing I could have done differently but be older and more experienced. And I feel like I was able to truly understand just how naive I was.
Because now we'll look at kids and be like, just wait.
Just please.
You think you're not paying? Oh, those bills, they're
like, I'm just like, I was making $1,000, not even $1,000, almost $1,000 a month. And I had no bills. I was living in a dorm. Like,
we were going to school and going.
When I say I was living, that was a lavish life. Okay,
scholarships and just going to the dining hall. I have to cook my own food.
I have no responsibilities. Everything's paid for.
Just wait.
Gas was, what gas was. And so my little $978 took me.
You was making bank.
I was rich. Okay. I was her.
Yeah.
I was on Amazon, eBay. I was buying whatever I wanted to buy with my little money. But even still, I feel like, to your point, sorry, I got a little sidetracked.
No, you're fine.
To your point, I realized that she was right once I left. So when I decided to officially leave that particular company, it was a matter of, damn, she was right. She said that. Yeah. She said that years ago.
But sometimes we need that, right? Sometimes we need a little refresher to remind us on things like that. We can always look back. Like you said, maybe not what I could have done differently, but I can at least be able to put game on someone else, or I can at least remember those moments and how you navigated that. Because I do remember that was a important part of your journey. Another important part of your journey, I know that you have always, you mentioned earlier about not being too filtered, where you've always been someone who stood up for what you truly believed in, right? And you're an activist activist. You're someone who goes out there into the community. I'm for real. You're someone who gets involved into the community, and you speak up for those who you feel may not have a voice. You're someone who truly will get out there and do the boots on the ground work.
Yeah. Get my steps in, baby. Gotta
get your steps in. Talk to me about your advocacy. Talk to me about what has sparked that. Whether it was a specific incident, whether it was a specific moment or something that inspired you or someone who inspired you. Talk to me about your advocacy journey and why that's so important to you.
Child, that started when I was a kid. As a child, I literally wanted to be Muhammad Ali when I grew up.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, or Martin Luther King.
But not the floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee.
The advocacy part.
The advocacy part.
Like, I truly... I feel like I was an activist in my past life because it like just came so naturally. Like, there was no fear. Like, you know how sometimes it's a matter of you have a little nerve sometimes. Not one. I was like, oh, this is what you said? Oh, this is what we about to do. Like, it just came. It was
Did you grow up in like debate team? Were you
I
in
wasn't
like...
a debate team.
Okay.
I actually was a state champion debate.
Okay. See, we getting to it, right? See, that's what that makes sense.
I actually was a state debate champion for 2 years in high school. But as a kid, I just... And it could attribute to, just where I grew up, the community I grew up in. I saw a lot of things growing up. The disadvantages, the oppression, and I learned about it. I was in a theater company. They taught us a lot just about knowing where you come from, knowing how to speak up for what you believe in. And we were charged with doing research. And so in order for us to participate in different plays, we had to do research on the topics. And so at 8, 9, I'm like doing research on Soweto and apartheid in Africa. Why does an 8-year-old know about apartheid? Like, who? But that was the requirement.
That was the theme of the...
If you want to take place in this particular theater company and what we stand for, you have to know the stories behind the stories. And I had to know about police brutality. I had to know just a multitude of things at a very young age because that is what I was charged with, delivering those messages through theater. And so growing up, I would be able to point it out. Oh, this is gentrification. Oh, this is this, this is this, this is this. As a kid, I'm seeing it because I've studied it and got into high school and I, kind of did it. And then going into college, I don't want to say that activism was kind of flatlined, but it was kind of flatlined, to be completely honest. Like, Black lives were not publicly mattering.
Not at that time when we went to college.
Exactly. Yes. And so for me, I did not feel comfortable enough allowing people to see that side of me because it was like...
I'm in college on my own now.
Right. I'm like, I don't really know who I'm going to go and, activist for because like I did not feel like the stage was there. And so I also knew that I wanted to go into entertainment. So my goal was, okay, we're going to start entertainment. We're going to build a platform. After we build our platform, we're going to leave towards the end of our 20s. Then we're going to get into activism. And then that's how we're going to do it. And so granted, that was short-lived because I went straight from entertainment simultaneously into activism.
God said, no, I got something else.
Exactly. God was like, you was going to do that.
I need you to work quicker. I need you to...
You trying to do it at the end of your 20s. I need you right here in the middle of them. Come on, in the middle.
Yeah.
I was like, well, God, I got like 3-4 more years. He's like, no, right now. Right now. Right now.
I want some peace for a few more years, Lord, before I go over there and start...
Right. And start handing it to the man. Yeah. Sticking it to the man. Yeah. And an incident happened with the police officer, actually. That was senior year. So senior year, October 7th, we were hosting, my job at the time, we were hosting A3C and we're introducing Lil Wayne. And I felt very convicted in self just because I had just officially got on air earlier that year. So this was like the first like event concert thing where I am not an intern. I am a like personality. Like I am here, you know? So I'm like, yes, this is my moment. I've worked years for this finally.
A3C, huge production too.
Exactly.
Huge production.
Exactly. And we're it's Lil Wayne. Yeah. So I'm like, yes, this is great.
Senior year of college, you're on a high, you know you're about to graduate.
I've done it. When I say I checked off every box that I wanted to check off in college, I checked it off. And fast forward, the concert got shut down because they said people were shooting. Till this day, I didn't hear no shots. I just saw people bum rushing backstage. That's neither here nor there. The point of the story is, later that night, I was assaulted by a police officer. And going back to what I said before, I had a mic, but I didn't have a voice. I was silenced. And that just took so much out of me because I had so much to say. But like I said, Black lives at the time didn't matter. And so now I'm conflicted with being this entertaining person when there's a part of me that is like, no, it's time to like, y'all done woke up a beast. Like y'all have woke up a beast. And having to push the beast down for so long, when George Floyd happened, it kind of just like woke me up. Like, oh, Qri, this is a thing. Like, this happened to you and you pretended like it didn't happen for so long. And as a result, it's time to like, we gotta shake it off. We gotta shake it off. We gotta shake it off. And so I think that particular incident forced me into activism because it was like, oh my gosh, like this is something that happened to me and I suppressed it because I mean, Black women's voices sometimes matter, sometimes they don't. Yeah. And I just decided I gotta leave this company because I gotta unleash the beast. I got work to do. I have work to do, and yeah, my I don't want to say entertainment career, but my career within that particular company just stopped, and rightfully so, because you should never be anywhere where you have the platform, and they prevent you from using it. Yeah. So yeah, that was a long, drawn-out answer, but I had to give you the backstory.
That was a contextual answer, but it was important because, you know, that story will resonate with someone who has had some sort of similar situation. Maybe they were there that night. Maybe, you know, and at the end of the day, and this is what's not a maybe, is that everything happens for a reason. Whether that is, good, well, not with something that we imagine happen. I'm sure that's not something that you ever imagine happen. All of us think we're immune to the things that we see on TV or that happens in the world, and then it happens to us, and we're like, well, what? Me? Right. Like, and it's like, well, no. Like, no. We're not immune to the things that unfortunately sometimes may happen to others, but it sparks something. And I think that, you know, when things like that does happen, that's exactly what it does. And I know that your work is not done, and you continue to reimagine what Questions with Qri looks like. You continue to reimagine what your brand is. That's one of the things I love about you, and you're so consistent. So with that being said, you know, whether or not it's maybe from that incident or from another inspiration, what is next for Qri? Because I know that Questions with Qri is not done.
Questions with Qri will never be done because it's timeless. Yeah. So I have put Questions with Qri down and picked it up and put it down and picked it back up. And I just recently picked it back up because I had to refine conviction within myself. And I had to forgive myself because for a very long time, me stepping into activism, I felt like it derailed me because it was kind of just me. And it was like, Qri, how could you ruin your life? And I felt so embarrassed. I felt so insecure. I just felt so many things because it's like, Qri, if you had just kept your mouth shut, you would be, you know, who knows where you would be. You wouldn't be traveling this road alone. You wouldn't, you would not have probably had to endure some of the things that you did. But in reality, I probably would have. Because the grass truly isn't greener, but it was just a matter of, damn, you shouldn't have done that. And so for a long time, I shunned myself. And I had to stop doing questions with Qri because I no longer felt that conviction. I've just felt just like I'm just doing this out of habit. This has become habitual. It's no longer fun. It's no longer exciting. And I'm not mentally here. And I don't really know how to be a hypocrite. So I'm just like, let me just stop it because it's not doing. So I just recently started that. So there's a new episodes that just dropped, earlier this year, and I'm going to start shooting season 2 next.
Nice.
Would love to have you on again. We'll have to do a comparison right video.
Now. Yes, exactly. We'll have to do one.
We'll have to do a comparison video. But working on that, and then also in the midst of me putting questions with Qri down because I realistically no longer felt comfortable being myself, because how could I be myself and something like this happened to me? It was just like, being Qri's got you in trouble. Let's try to be somebody else. Okay. And I feel like everyone doesn't go through that, but for me, it was a matter of, if this hurt me, let me stop being this person because I don't want anything else to like this.
That's how you're navigating.
Exactly. And so I created a superhero.
Really? Okay.
Yes. I created a superhero named Agent Ask. And so it's a play on asking you shall receive. And I feel like at a point in my life, I stopped asking because I stopped feeling worthy of receiving. And so I figure, you know what? There's so many people that don't ask because they don't feel worthy of receiving. But what if I could circumvent that at a younger age? And so when life happens, because life will happen, how do you not lose your worth, but use different tools and tactics to kind of work through whatever it is that hurt you? Because for me, I just stopped. And it was just like, Qri, we can't stop. Like we gotta keep going. And so I had to unlearn, relearn, teach myself different tools that I can utilize. So when life happens, when I feel like stopping, it's a matter of, we got to keep going, Qri. And so the superhero does that for children. Yeah. And so Questions with Qri is for like adults our age. And then Agent Ask, who's a superhero, she teaches kids mental health through the relatable medium of something that they can see and relate to and instantly retain. So I'll go dressed as a superhero and I'll teach kids different like preventative mental health. I call them wonder workshops. I'll go and teach different wonder workshops to kids at Boys and Girls Clubs or shelters or schools or churches or camps or wherever there's youth services. Agent Ask will fly in with her amazing cape and do what needs to be done. So yeah.
Well, look, I know that Qri is a lit individual.
Yes.
Questions with Qri is a lit individual.
Yes.
I would like to know if Agent Ask is just as lit. Can I meet Agent Ask?
I think Agent Ask, she's like super lit. She's this lit. Like she's like this.
Clock that?
She's clocked that, all of that. All of that.
Well, look, Qri, if you don't mind, I'd like to meet Agent Ask.
Okay. Well, let me see if she's around.
Okay. Was not expecting this, but welcome to the show, the lit individual herself, Agent Ask.
Yes. Agent Ask is here in the building.
You look good, Agent Ask.
Thank you.
I like this. I like it. You go good with the colors.
Right?
Yeah, I love
the chair.
It matches and everything like that. Agent Ask, I have to ask you, what is your mission? What is it, the message that you want for young people? When I say young people, I mean those of all ages, to be able to come out with. What is your mission, Agent Ask?
Overall, it's for children, like you said, of all ages to feel so comfortable in their worth that when life happens, because life is inevitable, that they don't stop, that they remember their worth and that they remember that they are worthy of receiving whatever it is that they ask for.
Yeah. Agent, there's truly the saying of, if closed mouths don't get fed, you receive not because you ask not, you don't know because you don't ask. There's no dumb question. Like the list can go on and on. Yes. Why is it important for us to ask questions? Why is the being inquisitive a good thing?
Because it just builds character. It builds experience. It builds lessons. You can't learn lessons if you're not asking questions. You can't learn from other people if you're not asking questions. But you truly have not because you ask not, but you also ask not because you don't feel worthy enough to ask.
Yeah.
And I think that for so long, we've just been told asking you shall receive. Well, if it was that easy, then you wouldn't have to keep telling us asking we shall receive.
And I shouldn't have to keep asking sometimes.
Exactly. But it's just a matter of understanding your worth, understanding you as a spirit, you as this powerful being, and not of this world. You're in this world, but not of this world. But if you don't understand that, then guess what? You're not going to ask and you're not going to receive. And then you're going to be walking around wondering why life is so bad. But it's because you don't understand. You lack understanding. And so if Agent Ask can come in and bridge that gap between understanding, then it's a matter of, hey, let's get this party started. We can do all things truly. Mm-hmm. And so that's me.
Now, Agent, let me ask you a question. I want to ask you, for those who may struggle with asking questions, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think some of the first introductions of that is when we're in school, mm-hmm. right? We have a question, we have an idea, but we're scared to raise our hand for the intention, for the attention. We're afraid that someone is sitting there and they're gonna be like, oh, well, that's a dumb question. Mm-hmm. But in reality, those are the ones that aren't asked. The questions that people consider dumb are the ones that no one asked in the room because they were too afraid of what someone else is going to say. What advice would you give to those people who are saying, I'd be afraid to ask questions because I don't want what people are going to look at me or people are going to say, or maybe I asked too many questions. Maybe I already asked a question in the session, but should I ask another one? What advice do you give to those people when it comes to being able to overcome and asking those questions, no matter the situation, no matter the room?
Now, I do have a workshop where I do teach effective communication. And I do feel like there is a time, there is a place. And so just because you have a question, sometimes that may not be the time. Sometimes that may not be the place. Sometimes you may not have the tone to effectively communicate what it is that you're asking. And so there's a time, there's a place, there's a tone, always. Because I feel like that goes back to knowing your worth. When you know your worth, you're able to understand other people's worth. You're able to understand other people's timing. You're able to understand certain things. And so I want to put that out there first. No matter the room, it's
Because sometimes it might need to hold your question until it's a one-on-one.
Sometimes questions truly can change the trajectory of a relationship or can change your life, depending on how you said it, where you said it, and who you said it to. But if you ask the wrong question to the wrong person, and because they gave you the wrong answer, now you're headed this way. But if you had just waited and read the room and understood, oh, hey, this is not a bad question, it is just a bad time. Or this is not a bad question, this is just I want to say a bad person, but this is just not the best person to ask that question to. Yeah. So I would say if that is you, if you have a question and you're afraid to raise your hand, or you're afraid you don't know what to say, or you're afraid of what someone is going to think, I would say figure out if it's even the time to say it. Figure out how you're going to say it. Figure out why you're even saying it. Because sometimes people just ask questions just to hear themselves talk. But it's also very important to make sure that is the question I'm asking, am I ready for the answer? And so that's another thing. Like there's questions, that's what I'm saying. It's so important to ask because there's so many layers to questions. There's so much that comes from asking questions.
And being curious and being intuitive
it builds.
Inquisitive,
It's like a compound thing. And the only way to truly learn how to effectively ask questions is by practicing. You have to practice. And so, yes, I understand that there is fear. But when you think about what's on the other side of fear, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing on the other side of fear. If you think about it, if we set fear right here and we're afraid to cross this line, there's literally nothing on the other side of it.
Or at least nothing to be afraid of.
There's nothing, right? There's nothing to be afraid of, right? And so it's a matter of knowing people are going to look at you anyway. People are going to say what they have to say anyway. It's a matter of allowing them to own it. So what you have to say is truly yours to keep. It don't have nothing to do with what I have going on. I'm dressed as a whole superhero right now. You know how much confidence and conviction that takes to go and get a suit made, tailored, cut. I had fittings.
I can imagine.
Like this is her fourth suit. So it's a matter of, no, you have to find your why and your worth. But because I know my worth, what you deem is worthy has nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. But I've also learned tone. I've also learned tact. I've also learned timing. I've also practiced asking difficult questions, even when I wasn't ready for the answers, you know?
And don't let someone else, what you're worried about someone else is going to say or think, deter you from getting the information that you need.
Exactly.
If you need an answer, you ask her a question. Regardless of if you maybe need to ask it a few different ways or whatever that looks like, it's important for you to be able to ask your question.
And just because, going back to what I said earlier, just because you asked the wrong question to the wrong person doesn't mean it's not. I mean, just because you asked the right question to the wrong person doesn't mean it's not the right question. Because when I first started doing this, I asked someone who I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe was the right person.
Yeah.
And they were the wrong person.
Just wasn't.
And it kind of disheveled me a little bit, because I'm like, dang, I thought that they would be here to help. But thank God that they aren't, because I've been able to figure out so much more doing it the way that I'm doing it. And so it's a matter of, even if you have the right question, you're going to ask the wrong person. It's inevitable. But that is just a test for you to understand if you really think you're worthy of the answer, to go and ask it again.
Keep asking, you'll get to the right answer.
Yes, it's inevitable.
Agent Ask, I have one final question for you.
Okay.
As we begin to wrap up our interview today, I want you to talk to the audience. I want you to say if there's anything on your heart that you want to share. If you can share any piece of, it could be generic advice, it could be advice that you feel that you are meant to say on this show right now. But what advice would you give to the people who are watching here right now?
My number one advice, my number one answer is gratitude. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude is the cure for attitude. And so I teach, when I go and do my Wonder workshops, I always let the kids know that when you have an attitude, try to show some gratitude. It instantly cuts off whatever that negative emotion is. It instantly cuts off whatever ill feeling you have on the inside. If you think about what you're thankful for, that's all that matters. That will bring you full circle every single time. So if you forget everything else that I've said, everything else TBJ has said, when you have an attitude, try to show some gratitude. And that'll get you everything that you need and take you every place that you've ever wanted to be.
Wow. Wow. And you know, they say that your attitude determines your longitude and your latitude.
It does.
As well.
It does.
Agent Ask, thank you so much for joining us here on the Lit Individual Show. Oh.
Yes, it's a nice little, I don't know what they're called, but it's a little bracelet.
It's a bracelet that says I am powerful.
Yes.
@_Agent Ask.
Yes.
Because that's where they can find you.
Yes, that is where you guys can find Agent Ask.
I'm going to put that on my wrist right now. Thank you so much, Agent Ask. And if you can give Qri my love and thank her.
I'll tell her.
Please let her know whenever you fly back. Let her know that I'm so grateful.
I love that Tony Benton Jr. He was so nice. That's what I'm telling her.
Yeah, let her know, you know, because I would appreciate that.
He took good care of me.
I would appreciate that. Agent Ask, we appreciate you. I know we just got it right here. Again, if people want to contact you or if they want to contact questions with Qri, how can they do so, Agent Ask?
Yes. Agent Ask is just @_Agent Ask. That's AGENT. Or the website is askagentask.com. You can go on there. We're actually having a mental health expo coming up soon for kids, free from 9 to 12 years old. And then if you would like to get in touch with Questions with Qri, she left her information with me. It is simply Questions with Qri, spelled QRI. That's Questions with QRI or Questions with Qri, QRI.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Agent Ask. Thank you so much, Qri. Yes, we really appreciate you. Both of y'all. Thank you so much. Right. Everyone, you guys, this is another lit individual. You know, luckily we're enough to have two lit individuals on the show today. But I want to give a special shout out to another lit individual, and that is the folks over at Train to Catch Planes Studios for always holding it down and always making things look great and sound even better. And a special shout out to the Bet on Benefits crew crew. That's right. Thank you guys so much for holding it down with this episode. You guys, if you are interested in being able to get those veteran benefits, your Social Security, all of those other things that you know that you deserve, you need to go ahead and reach out to Jermaine Benton with Bet on Benefits. And if you know a lit individual, if you're a lit individual and you want to be on the show and you want us to be able to talk with you, go ahead and you can find us on social media. Also, make sure that you go to TonyBentonJr.com. And I want to give a special shout out to It's Just PJ. You guys, make sure you follow him and all of the great shots that you see. Also, the shooters, they hold us down with all of what we need when it comes to our photography. You guys, we'll see you next time on the Lit Individual Show. Peace.
Let's go.